Hey guys, Vazzy back here, and in today's video, we're going to go over everything regarding the new rating system that I've added into my NHL 24 custom roster here with Update 7. This is going to be going through all my thought process of how I do it, all the things regarding X factors, the overall rating, and all of that. This is definitely going to be one of the more important videos here, as I do want to continue to build off the formula that I've created, continue to expand upon it, and just make it so that we can get the most realistic ratings possible here in game. So I'm just going to talk about this here for a little bit and scroll through all the teams. You guys can see all your favorite players, and I'll kind of go over all of that. But yeah, again, I just want to give a huge shout out to Tugi. Just watching his videos and seeing how he does all his ratings and stuff really wanted me to kind of make my own process and kind of figure out a better way of doing that to try and get the most accurate and most realistic possibilities as I can, which is in the end of the day, anyone who does rosters, that is our end goal here. So, but the thing for me that I was really happy with when going through this whole process here was when I went through and edited a player just in entirety, going through every single stat and just going through all that, which I will go through here a little bit later in the video. For the most part, the players did keep a relatively similar overall to what they would previously have in a different update. So that was something that I didn't want to have all of a sudden guys having +5 or plus or -5 overalls and it just being a total shock of like what's going on here and all that stuff. But for the most part, guys did come out with pretty similar overalls, which was something I was very happy to see going through this process. And I will say right now, for the most part, everyone did come out with those similar ratings, but there was a few players that I had to tweak that either came out super, super high or super, super low in comparison to what they should. So with that being said, the stats that I mainly touched regarding that was the balance, the strength, and the poise stat. For the most part, these are the stats that aren't going to matter the most. In-game strength, like, you're not going to really matter or notice that at all. Poise is really, from what I've heard all the content creators talking about it, really doesn't matter at all, and it was from an old system, so that's something I didn't really mind touching. The balance, it slightly will, but as I go through this here, you'll see there's a lot lower body checking scores, as players just really don't genuinely hit as much nowadays. So the balance really doesn't matter as much because players aren't throwing as crazy hits. So that was kind of my idea around this whole thing, but I did want to go through an example here of just me completely doing a player, show you guys the process, and then yeah, just kind of talk about it and go from there. So the first thing you want to do, or at least I did here that I found helped out an absolute ton, was going into the NHL player profile that whoever you're going to be editing. And what I did was I had a separate tablet that I would have beside me. I'd take a picture of this screen, and I would take a picture of this one here. I will flash to. That just basically shows off all the stats that they have put up for the past 2 years here, or whatever you're doing your sample size on. I did 2 prior years and whatever they've been doing in this current year. So basically, I just used the game stats that they already had in, and that saved a ton of time. I didn't have to go back into records and all that stuff and find what they put up in the 2021-2022 season, for example. The game already has that in there, so I just took a picture of the screen, and it saved me a ton of time regarding that. And from there, I found MoneyPuck was the absolute best resource for getting the current stats of what players have been putting up this year. Basically, it had absolutely everything I needed on the site. Goals, assists, points, shots, face-offs, hits, just all that stuff. Takeaways, it had everything you need on MoneyPuck. It might not be showing super great on the screen here, but nonetheless, it shows everyone that's played in an NHL game basically this season, and it really, really did help with this process overall. So now that we have all our stats and everything and we're ready to go and start editing the player, I did want to start by saying when it comes to speed, agility, and acceleration, I couldn't find a good way to quantify this, and I kind of had to keep it by reputation. Those are the only 3 stats that I did have to do this with, and I know a lot of people have recommended use Edge, and I think Edge is a great resource, but I just couldn't figure out a great way to basically quantify that to a number for those stats. So again, I'm definitely looking to build on this going into next year and all that stuff, and hopefully I can do something with Edge going forward, but for this update here, I did not use that. So just going through this process, let's start with hits. You go to Money Puck. He's played in 50 games. That's all that Tampa has possibly been able to play this year. So go to your calculator, put 82 divided by 50. That gets you your ratio number, and you times that by his hits, which in this case is 20. So basically that will give you a number of 32.8. So put your 32.8 in your calculator, and then go back to that screenshot or whatever you took of Hagel's stats in game. You'll see the prior 2 years, he put up 68 hits, I believe, with the Hawks, 21 with the Lightning, and then in the year before, he put up 42 with Chicago. Add that all together, you get 169.2. Divide that by the 3 years, that gives you 56.4. So that clearly shows when you go to my system and kind of how everything is rated out, that he would get a 70 for checking. For the most part, this was the most common number for this stat. As guys, there's obviously the few exceptions out there that are just kind of crazy, but a lot of guys don't throw those crazy big hits anymore, and it's kind of become more of a skill game, I think, as we all know. So he would get a 70 for body checking. So up next here, going to endurance. Again, this one's pretty simple for the most part. Go back to Money Puck. You'll see total time on ice this year is 949 minutes. Divide that by his 50 games played. You get 18 minutes and 90 seconds. And then you go back to his prior stats from the past couple years. You add his 1839, his 1335, and his 1728 time on ice respectively. Divide that by 4, and you get 16.98. That will fall out with a 85 endurance rating when looking at my scale. Puck control is a very simple one. Since he is a playmaker, he does get 99 overall in the stat. This is one of the stats that totally depends on player type, whether you're a power forward, a two-way, grinder, sniper. It's going to differ. Again, I'll definitely have pictures up on Twitter of the guide I'm using, or just go and check out the previous video that I put up a week or two ago here. It'll show kind of the different scales of what I did for the different player types. And up next, when it comes to passing, going to be another very similar formula to the body checking. Take the 82 games divided by 50. You get your ratio number. Times that by his 27 current assists that he has, and you get 44.28. That is what he is on pace for this year. Add that to his previous couple years, which is 34, 3, and 16. Divide that by 3, and you get an average assists per year of 32.4. And on my scale, that will land him an 89 in that category. So again, it's pretty simple for the most part. It's just doing a little bit of math here on numbers that we can definitely quantify to give us a better accurate overall. Next up, we have the shot pass bias. And I do want to say this is the only stat that I used only the current year's numbers for the result. So basically, I just took whatever year is on pace for this year, and that's what I used for his shot pass bias. So in this case, take your 82 divided by 50, times that by the amount of shots he currently has, which at time of recording is 118, and you will get that he is on pace for 193.52. And on my current system here, that would give him a 7. So basically right down the middle. And again, back to the same formula here. When it comes to goals, this unfortunately was the one that I kind of wanted to change. And I kind of just did all slap shot and wrist shot accuracy and power all the same. But 82 divided by 50 times is 16 goals, which comes out to 26.24 goals, plus 30, plus 4, plus 21 from his prior years. Divide that all by 3, and you get an average goals for of 27.08 per year, which will leave him at an 86 overall. And again, not ideal, but it is what I use for the power and accuracy for both shot types. This is the one thing, again, that, yeah, definitely in the future, I kind of want to change up and find a better way of doing it. But for now, that is how I did it. When it comes to strength and balance, again, this is one that is totally determined by the player type. And it's actually interesting that I used Brandon Hagel for this example, and it works out good. When I was doing and creating Brandon Hagel here and editing them all up, for his strength and balance of a playmaker and I guess technically slash sniper, he is supposed to get a 95 overall. Personally, overall wise, I'm more comfortable at this moment at Hagel an 86 or an 87, which he's currently at an 87. I believe he was coming out a little bit higher than that at either 88 or 89. So I basically just took the balance and strength stat and -5 from each of them to get him to his overall. Durability is a very easy one. Just take the amount of games that he is on pace for. Let's say he's missed 5 games. Take 5, minus it from the 82, add it to his totals from the prior 2 seasons, and boom, see what he's got on the scale, and that is your durability rating. When it comes to deking, that is another stat that is totally dependent on player type. So again, with him being a playmaker, he will get that 99 overall for deking. That again here is also the exact same thing for the poise stat. Playmakers, snipers, they will both be getting a 99 overall for poise. I want to say two-way forward and power forwards are 95. Grinders and enforcers might be 90. I'm not too sure, but it's something like that. Either way, Hagel here does get a 99 overall for poise. Shot blocking again is going to be one where we pull out our math formula. Take your 82 divided by 50, times it by his current 28 shot blocks, gets him a pace of 45.92. Prior seasons, he had 58, 7, and 25. Add all that up, divided by 3, you get 45.3. And with this being so close, the range I have from a 75 to an 80, you have, I believe it is 45 to 46. So since he's so close and he gets to that 45, I did decide to more or less round up and give him that 79 overall, which will come in and be important when looking at his other defensive stats. Offensive awareness is the exact same thing. I don't have to go through this with you guys again. I've done this a couple of times here with the math and all that stuff. Do the exact same thing, find out his points, add it to what he previously had, divide it by 3, and find out where he lies in the scale. This point for Hagel, he does get a 91 in this stat. And again, exactly the same thing for the discipline stat. Going back to the player types, fighting skill is another one that is totally determined by that. With him being a playmaker, obviously he's probably not going to be the best fighter overall, so we are going to set that at a 65 overall. Again, if he has a better reputation, if he was a fighter, we can definitely look to change that, but with it being Hagel, definitely a fair rating. And then again, lastly here, stick checking. You have to pull out the math equation one more time here in regards to that, so do the exact same thing that we've previously been doing here to get the stick checking rating. You may have noticed that I did end up skipping 3 stats here. That is totally on purpose, and that's because we had to go through everything else to be able to determine those stats. So basically, when it comes to the defensive awareness of a player, I thought it's best just take the 2 defensive other stats, see what they are, and divide them by 2. Simple enough, at least in my mind here. So you take your 79 overall for your shot blocking, add that in your calculator, take his 91 overall for the stick checking, and just divide that by 2. Whatever you get, that's what he should get for his overall defensive awareness, which in this case is 85. And it's exactly the same thing for the hand-eye. Hand-eye really is not just an offensive thing, picking up pucks in the zone, accepting passes. It's also intercepting passes in the defensive zone, picking up those loose pucks and all that. So take your stick checking, which in this case again is 91. Take the passing, which is 89, add those together, divide it by 2, and that is what you will get for your hand-eye score, which in this case again here is a 90 for Hagel. And then our last individual statistic here that we have to go over is aggressiveness. And basically aggressiveness, from what I saw in Tugi's video there, is basically the body checking and the shot blocking and how efficient of a player is at doing each one of those. So again, do the same thing that we've been previously doing here. Take the shot blocking, take the body checking, add them together, divide it by 2, and there you go. That's your aggressiveness score, which for a lot of the players is going to be pretty low, especially if their body checking is low. But is what it is, and that is how the system works. So, as you can tell, a lot of work goes into each player. It's something that you really do have to take all the real life considerations into effect here. And if you're going through it all, let's just say there's 800 players in the league, it takes about, I want to say, 5 minutes a player. And that's just NHL. You might be doing some free agents, you might be doing some prospects, you might be doing some created players, might be doing some AHL players. It takes a long time, so it's definitely been something I've been working at the past couple of weeks here for sure. And just before I end the video here, I did want to go over the X factors and kind of what I did regarding those. So when it comes to X factors overall, there's a decent amount of them in game currently, but a lot of them can't really be quantified. I don't know, like bouncer. How do you really quantify that by numbers? And that's kind of the issue I've found with some of them, but I wanted to go over the ones that at least found a way to kind of do that and give a good explanation of why I did it the way I did. So starting out with Yoink, I basically just had that set at takeaways. And really, to find that, it's pretty easy. Just go back on Money Puck and just, see who has the most takeaways. Set a certain amount, like a cutoff that you don't want to give it to, and then just go through the list and assign them Yoink. The second one is All Alone. Basically, if you go to NHL.com and you go to stats, you can basically filter it by shots by type, which is really cool. And I actually didn't realize this before. So obviously All Alone, I did that more towards shootouts because penalty shots you don't really take as much. So just go and see whoever has the most goals in the shootout and assign them All Alone. Next couple here are going to fall into the exact same classification. Just go back to your NHL.com and stats. You can see all the different amounts of who's leading in backhanded goals, who's leading in tip goals, deflected goals, all of that. So there's 2 X factors you can quantify right there pretty easily. Up next is Born Leader. And really, it's not something you can really quantify by numbers, but I just assigned it to every captain around the NHL. This is something I've had in the previous updates, but it is something I just did want to bring up for anyone who's editing rosters. I would just recommend giving it to all the captains or all people who've been a captain in the past 5 years. I don't know. It's a cool little thing you can apply. It just adds a little bit more attention to detail. Up next is Ice Pack. Again, pretty self-explanatory here for the most part. I would recommend just going back to Money Puck here for this one. Who has the most block shots? You can go year over year, all that. And whoever has the most, make sure you assign a cutoff point and then assign those players the Ice Pack, either Superstar or Zone ability. Going back to NHL.com here and going back to those different shot types, I found Thunderclap. Easy way to assign it to slap shot goals. Again, this is going to mainly be for the defenseman here. I don't know if I actually put it purposely on any forwards. I think I mainly just did defenseman, but whoever has the most slap shot goals in the league over the past year or two, whatever, why not assign them Thunderclap? And then the last X factor here that I kind of took a look at was truculence. And really, that's, again, pretty self-explanatory. Just see whoever's thrown out the most amount of hits year over year. I think I did Money Puck for this one again. I don't think I did it on NHL.com. I'm not sure. I'm sure it probably shows on either site. But again, yeah, truculence is another one that is pretty easily quantifiable by numbers. And actually just thinking about it here, the one beside it there, Total Eclipse, I assigned it to, I want to say any forward that it was 6'6" or something. It's basically just bettering screening the goalie and all that stuff. So again, just put it on forwards that are really big. They'll have a better time screening. And yeah, I don't know, maybe you can put them on the power play, just stand them right in front of the net. But yeah, it's another one that just another small little attention to detail kind of thing. But yeah, I think for the most part, that is going to do it for today's video. I did just really want to go over and explain my whole thought process regarding the new roster system and all that stuff. Just really, I wanted to make this, you want to go on and see why does this player seem a little bit lower than they should be? Why does this guy seem a little bit higher than they should be? I wanted to basically, just have a video kind of to link back and kind of explain myself here. Also get feedback from you guys. Obviously, there is some stuff that I'm already thinking about making the system better. Probably not this year. I just wanted to kind of do this as more of an experiment right now. Kind of see what works, see what doesn't, see what can be improved, see what really worked well, and then continue working on that into NHL 25 itself and really taking it to the next level here, hopefully. And yeah, if you're on a different console as well, definitely let me know if you're trying any of this stuff. I know a couple of people have reached out that are trying to do this themselves and giving me some of their feedback and stuff as well. So yeah, definitely let me know what you guys think of all this stuff in the comments down below. And I will see you all in the next video.